Hello, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Live at the Waterhole. Where first up, we're just on the border of Botswana in the northwest province of South Africa at the wonderful Tau Lodge. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and what does the bush hold in store for us today? Well, you'll have to sit back as per usual, relax, and watch as the animals come down to quench their thirst and cool off. And as per usual, please don't forget that this is a live and interactive experience, so we'd love for you to jump on board with us and send us through your questions and your comments. You can do that by going on the Wild Earth website and registering. You can also join the conversation on X, formerly known as Twitter, using the hashtag WildEarth as it appears on your screen. What is it that you'd like to see? What would you like to chat about? Whatever it is wildlife related, send it on through. Yesterday, we had lots of elephant activity as the day progressed and it got hotter. So it does look like a nice clear day once more, so we can probably expect them to come through again. There we can see a spurwing goose, the largest of the region. I think it's some teals just off to the left of them. And so we can also expect to see all the resident waterfowl here at this particular waterhole. The red-knobbed coots and the little common moorhens. We've also had the grey herons and Egyptian geese, blacksmith lapwings. Often near to the camera, we also hear the little blue waxbills and chin-spot batters. And who knows, maybe we'll even spot the crocodiles. None for now, but they're often hiding within the grass here. So it looks nice and sunny here, but with that being said, let's go and have a look what the weather's going to be like across all the different locations. So it seems to be a nice crisp winter's day across the board. There's a little bit of clouds coming up the east coast, but that's about it. So nice and hot for a winter's day, and that bodes well for us. Lots of animals going to come down to the waterholes. Can hear some Natal spurfowl making a racket there in the background. You can hear the red-billed buffalo weavers as well. And Mercedes Bean already up and commenting. Happy Thursday. Straight back at you, Mercedes Bean. Nice to have you on board once more. So a little bit quiet for now, but let's just have a scan around and see what else is about. Not a cloud in the sky. There, it looks like we've got some white-faced whistling ducks. Oh, hello. And the elephants have come to join us. Surprise, surprise. A tiny little youngster with them. That one looks to be within a year of age. It's a blue wildebeest just lying down there, ruminating. A little bit of argy-bargy amongst the young males. So the predominant calls there, we can hear the high-pitched little whistles of the blue waxbills and also the strange or different dialect of the chin-spot batters. think it might be a kudu. They're straight above one of these elephant, and I think off in the distance there as well, more elephants making their way. Or are they milling about? And there's definitely elephants there off in the thickets. More elephants also off on the right. So lots of elephants around. Yellow-breasted Apalus also starting to call. We call them the techno bird. So those elephants just feeding a little bit. Maybe they're going to wander on through, feeding as they go. You can see the heat waves rising as well. So even though it's we're heading into winter, beginning of winter, but it's still quite warm in the midday. And with a population of a little over 1,500 on the 80,000 hectare reserve, that is Madikwe Game Reserve, there are a lot of elephants. So we have a big chance of seeing plenty of them. And Alex Tobing saying beautiful creatures. Absolutely. The elephants never cease to amaze. And you see them also quite a bit of ear flapping, so they're feeling the heat, keeping themselves cool with that built-in radiator of theirs. A ring-necked dove or Cape turtle dove calling now too, one of the more common birds. There's a grey go-away bird also calling. Quack. Quite a few elephants milling about. Looks like one of the blue wildebeest decided to wander off. So welcome aboard, Joanne Mello, once again saying, I not only like the animals, I like the view, which is amazing and so untamed. Yeah, animals in their natural state, in their natural environment, always wonderful to see. And having a look around for those scaly reptiles, the flat dogs. No sign of them yet. Is it impala on the dam wall there? Just a few of them. And back to our spurwing goose. This one seems to have been hanging around just on its own. See the blacksmith lapwing just on the shoreline. Oh, I just heard a southern black tit. Chwe. So the most prominent and interesting feature of the spurwing goose is in fact its namesake, the spur on the bend of their wings. And they're used for territorial disputes, especially during the breeding season when they're at their most aggressive. I think there's actually a yellow-billed duck, this one just off to the left of the spurwing goose, and then the other ones, I think, are either Cape or red-billed teals. I'd have to see what color their bills are. I'm leaning towards red-billed teals. That's a real tiny little baby there, so we'll be well looked after by the adults, and I'm sure Mom. So Jade was asking why they're called flat dogs, and that would be the crocodiles. Jade, I'm not exactly sure where it originates from. I'm pretty sure that it's just to do with the way that their behavior, how they lie out on the bank, as well as what they look like in the water. But it's pretty much termed across the world in English-speaking countries, Australia, where they have a lot of alligators, in America as well. And even if you look it up in the dictionary, flat dog, the word literally means crocodile or alligator. So it's a nickname that has been used for many years, and we've always used that nickname for crocodiles personally and with our friends. So it's just another name for what we use on crocodiles. That's a tiny little baby. Still able to walk under mum, so it's within a year of age. Now, Kerry was asking why the birds also this relaxed even when the crocodiles are around. Kerry, the birds are very sharp, and you'll see when the crocodiles do move towards them, they do move away a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that they're quite confident that they'll be able to get away from the crocodile regardless of its speed. But sometimes they're not fast enough, and the crocodiles can surprise them. So sometimes it's a little bit of a false confidence, but generally they sort of are able to get away from the crocodile. So Catherine was asking, are there any blue-billed teals in Madikwe? And Catherine, I was just looking through their bird list, and I can't seem to find any evidence that there are, in fact, blue-billed teals on Madikwe or that they've been spotted. They're mainly found in tropical eastern Africa, so Ethiopia to the Cape Province, westward to northern Botswana and Namibia and Madagascar. So there's every chance that you could see them. However, I'm not seeing any on the birding list, but that's not to say that they haven't been spotted before. I just haven't found any evidence so far. And Danny was asking, when do female elephants start having calves? So Danny, just to put it into perspective, the males they'll be sort of around about 10 years of age. They'll start to begin splitting off from the herd. They very often still follow the herd until they're into their teenage years. But some individuals will leave earlier, some will leave later, some stay up to about 16, others will leave at 12, 13, completely out of the herd. The females at quite a similar time will be mature or sexually mature and be able to give birth to babies. 12, 13 is very young for a female to give birth, but it has occurred before. And as with the males, it's different with all the individuals and the dynamics of the elephant population. But generally, it's more so around 15, 16 years of age. That's the normal average age for them to start giving birth. 22 months gestation period, and it's normally about 3 to 5 years in between them giving birth, with them having the chance to obviously rear the young in between. So Joanne Miller was saying, I like the alligators in the USA, but African Nile crocodiles amaze me, so big and powerful. Yeah, absolutely. And the main difference between alligators and crocodiles, it's mostly down to the snout. So that's the main differentiator between the two, with the crocodile having a much more narrow snout than an alligator, which is a little bit more broad than the crocodiles. And Poke Hurt or Heart saying, I wonder if the babies sometimes wonder what is this thing hanging in my face. I think you're referring to their trunk. And yeah, with it, it's quite a strange appendage. And in that first year, obviously, they can't use it. It's slowly but surely they get the muscle memory to be able to perform the functions of a trunk. But in that first year, it's like an out-of-control fire hydrant. So I think there must be a lot of confusion for the little ones. But that's, I suppose, across the board with new life. If you're a bird, you've got to come to terms with flying and wings and having a beak. With elephants, you've got to come to terms with having a trunk and eventually being massive as well. And those huge ears that they have too. And welcome aboard, Darcy Miller, saying this little one is adorable. It is, and being well protected by its mother, and looks like an auntie as well. Now, interesting one also coming from Darcy Miller, saying, where I am from in the United States, we call alligators swamp puppies. So yeah, quite a similar sort of reference that we call them flat dogs. See the little baby also having a drink from mum there. And in the first year, they don't really actually need the trunk. So that period is just spent learning how to use it. But they drink from mom, predominantly. And slowly but surely, they'll start to copy the adults and start to feed. And then, sort of mix solids with the milk that they get. And then slowly but surely be weaned off mom. But it takes a couple of years. And sometimes you see even 4 or 5-year-olds trying to drink from their mother, but she's not that keen at that age. But at this age, I would say predominantly just drinking from mum. And now it's done a bit of a face plant into the ground. Oh, and is it going to go for a little snooze? It's just fallen over. Still quite wonky on its feet. I think this is a really young one. So Granny Mango asking, when do elephants start learning how to use their trunk? Well, Granny Mango, they start learning from the day that they're born, trying to learn how to use it. However, that learning process does take, as I've mentioned, sort of between a year and 2 years. Generally, after a year or so is when they're actually really able to use it. So up until then, it's just getting the muscle memory and learning how to. And then they sort of master it around a year, if not a little bit more than that. And so we also use that in a way of judging how old they are. Firstly, if they can sort of move below the belly of the mother, definitely within a year. If that trunk, they're not able to use it, we can also guess that it's within a year. So this one has already hit both of those. And I guarantee if we see it closer, you'll see that the ear flaps, they overlap on the top of the head up until just before a year of age. And then as it grows, those ears start coming down the sides of their face. But for now, they'll still be, when it's at rest and it's calm and standing up, you'll see those ear flaps overlap on the top of the head. And then around about 2 years of age, as I say, each individual is different, but in general, at about 2, you start to see the little tusks coming through. And then you watch as those grow. You can also then judge, once they get to 3, 4 years of age, and then you start judging them against the other adults, a fully grown individuals. So that little baby there, definitely within a year, and that one next to it, you see the tusks. So I would say between 3 and 4 years of age, maybe closer to 4. But so that's the way that they grow. And then the mother, she could be anywhere between, she's got a decent size set of tusks on her. So I would say anywhere between 25 and 35 years of age. 35, a little bit old. She doesn't look that old. So maybe somewhere in the middle. 30 years or so. But that's, hazarding a guess. She looks in good condition. She doesn't look like she's in her later years. But she does look like an experienced, mature mum. With a little bit of, sort of breakage on her tusks. They're rather thick. So we just use all of these to estimate the sort of age that they're at. But that's a good way of doing it. And Mindy Tillapaw saying, never knew that about the elephant's ears. Thanks, Ralph. You're very welcome, Mindy. If there's anything else you'd like to know, fire away. Have a look and see if there's anything else about. You never know when we might miss a predator sneaking in for a drink. We probably hear lots of alarm calls though, and a scattering of all these plains game. Here we can see a South African shell ducks, one with a white head, that's a female, one with a grey head, that's the male. And the grey go-away bird calling once more. And the resting, ruminating blue wildebeest. So I always like to impart the story about blue wildebeest. And it's been passed down through many generations and cultures in Africa. And it goes like this. After the gods created all the animals, they realized that they had made too many spare parts of certain animals. So left over, they had the stripes of a zebra, bodies of hyena, and heads of buffalo. So they decided that they wouldn't let anything go to waste, and they put all these parts together and created something special, the blue wildebeest. So when you look at them, you can clearly see the similarities with these other animals. The stripes on its side, the slope of its back, the hyena, and its large buffalo-like horns. So Beth McGuire saying good morning from Ohio, USA. Nice to have you on board with us, Beth. And lovely that we've got an international audience once more. So cool. Right, so lovely start here, as always, in the Madikwe Game Reserve at Tau Lodge. But I think it's time to change of place. Let's change of country. Let's go to East Africa, Kenya, and Oldonyo. Where we've got some very different animals. We've got some superb starlings. Looks like they're having a lovely bird bath. And a striped ground squirrel in the background. Looks like it's found something to feed on. The beautiful colors on the superb starlings. What a sight. And the squirrel just moving through the grass needs to be very careful for predatory birds. There's lots are in these parts, so it would do well to stay in the cover of the grass. The emerald spotted wood doves, just there moving through in the background. There's another one. You can see those emerald spots on the wings. Like something scared them off. And the little ground squirrel standing up there like a surrogate, still feeding on something. Let's get it to focus. Looks like there's a little bit of rain about. So there was a question from Urban Junior asking, do we get alligators in South Africa? So the easy answer there, Urban Junior, is no. We only have one species of crocodile, and that's the Nile crocodile, and that's right through Africa. So we don't have any alligators in Africa. And in fact, the American crocodile, the Crocodylus acutus, lives in several places within the Americas, including Mexico, Central and South America, the Caribbean, and South Florida. And the American alligator, which is Alligator mississippiensis, is also found in South Florida, among other places. And South Florida is the only place where you can find both animals in the wild. And like I said earlier, to distinguish between the two, it's all to do with their snout. And alligators have got a more U-shaped snout, while crocodiles have a more pointed or V-shaped snout. And Catherine was saying, hope that 1 ton comes for a visit. Yes, there is one very well-known elephant bull here. He's a big tusker, as we call him, and his tusks nearly reach to the ground. He is huge, and so are his tusks. And he's often here at this waterhole. We just have to be lucky. Maybe we'll see him. Joanne Mello saying birds are pretty, but I think the bee-eaters are much prettier. That's my opinion. Yeah, the bee-eaters, the carmine bee-eaters in particular, one of my favorites. But the white-fronted and the European and the little bee-eaters, they are magic birds and really full of color. So no animals for now, apart from all these birds, which is also wonderful. But we have had big herds of the oryx that you get here, the fringe-eared oryx, impala, and then a lot of giraffe and elephant bulls. No breeding herds that I've seen up until now. Lots of zebra as well at one stage, blue wildebeest too, and eland. Lots of bugs on the grass here. It looks like they're feeding on the inflorescence or the seeds. It seems to be finger grass or Digitaria eriantha. And there's lots of new growth. Hoping we get to see some of the male cutthroat finches as well. Here's a ringneck or Cape turtle dove. A lovely silhouette that of a superb starling. Obviously had a bit of a bath. Now it's trying to dry itself off. Getting rid of those excess preen oils. Very important for feather maintenance. We've also seen some lovely birds of prey here. African harrier hawk, or the gymnogene, as well as African hawk eagle coming in to wash and have a bird bath. You can also hear the very particular sound of these ringneck doves as they take flight, and they've got that wing sort of clipping where the wings hit each other. It's very easy to distinguish that sound of them flying. So I think that might have been a cutthroat finch there, actually, outside of breeding plumage. No, we don't see that redness on it. Either that or it was a female. Right, so things gone a bit quiet here. So I think let's change of place and let's head back to Tau. Where the Ellies are still about, and it seems like this little group with the tiny little baby have moved to our side of the waterhole. So that's nice. And here comes an ostrich as well. So it looks to be a female ostrich. I like to call them Jurassic chickens. Is it a female or just a dirty male? That one looks a little bit in between. Not really black, but not really brown either. But I'm just seeing that whiteness at the bottom, making me think more that it's a male. I think it is a male. It's a little bit too dark to be a female. And ostriches are not very picky as to what they eat. They're predominantly vegetarians, but they'll pretty much eat anything that they come across. Whether it's an insect or a lizard, they'll throw that back as well. But generally, mostly, they'll just be plucking away at the grass. There'll be the odd stone as well, because they use that for mechanically grinding up the food in their digestive tract. And then they'll just eject that. Oh, here comes some more elephants down the path. Fantastic. What a sight this is. I always love it when elephants are making their way down to the waterhole, all in a line, in a procession. And you'll see, maybe they'll pick up speed as they get closer. So in my pup saying the gentle giants. Absolutely. And what a wonderful sight this is. You see, each one's got different shaped tusks. Some are pointing down, some pointing forward, some outwards, some, each individual is different. Very much like us humans with our different dental structures, the different sizes of teeth as well. Now, while we're watching this, I think it's quite apt. I have read this before, but I'm just going to take some excerpts of it. It's a blog on travel and things. While these elephants are coming through here, it's somebody that wrote a blog while they were sitting here at Tau Lodge. And saying, sitting on the deck of my suite at Tau Game Lodge in Madikwe, watching herd after herd of elephants coming to drink at the large waterhole at the lodge, I got to see and experience the interactions of the herds and how they behaved. Not only towards those within their own herd, but the interactions between the different herds that occurred on a daily basis when they shared the water. Interestingly enough, the lodge is named after the vernacular name for a lion, Tau, whereas it should be named Klo, which is elephant, as we saw more of the latter and none of the former at the waterhole. And we haven't seen any lions here either, but lots and lots of elephants. But to be fair, you can hear lions vocalizing during the night, and that's for sure. Welcome to the wild world of elephants, where social interactions are more dramatic than a soap opera, and the mother-child relationship is like no other. In this whimsical journey, I will delve into the fascinating dynamics of these pachyderm breeding herds, where the matriarchs reign supreme, and the calves are the mischievous troublemakers we all secretly adore. On the open plains in front of Tau Game Lodge, a herd of elephant lumbers along, intent on getting to the water to drink and frolic. The undisputed leader is the matriarch, historically the oldest and wisest female in the herd. They normally have the wisdom of Yoda, the tenacity of a honey badger, and the combined memories of 1,000 elephants from generations that preceded her. Elephants and the social interactions within breeding herds are a captivating blend of drama, humor, and heartwarming moments. The female-calf relationship, with its mix of discipline and playfulness, is a testament to the unique bonds that exist in the animal kingdom. So the next time you find yourself watching a nature documentary about elephants, remember that behind those majestic tusks and massive bodies, there's a whole world of love, laughter, and occasional elephant-sized tantrums. Now, let's zoom in on the main event, the heart-warming and occasionally heart-stopping relationship between elephant mothers and their adorable calves. You see, in the elephant world, it's all about family, and that means sticking together through thick and thin. But don't be fooled by their massive size. These gentle giants are, in fact, the helicopter parents of the animal kingdom. Imagine this scenario. A curious calf decides to venture a bit too far from the safety of the herd to investigate a butterfly or a twig, and chaos ensues. The mothers trumpet, the aunts rush in like the cavalry, and the matriarch sends a stern warning with a "Don't you dare do that again" look that could stop a charging rhino in its tracks. The calf quickly learns the importance of staying close to mum. But it's not all seriousness in the world of elephant parenting. These massive moms have a soft spot for their little ones and can be incredibly playful as well. And imagine a 4,500 kilogram mother engaging in a game of catch me if you can with her 100 kilogram calf. It's like watching a bulldozer play tag with a feather. They play with such enthusiasm and gentleness, like a soccer mom cheering for her kid at a game. And the mothers will even toss dust and dirt over their calves as a form of sunscreen and insect repellent. One of the most heartwarming sights in the elephant world is witnessing a calf trying to mimic the majestic trumpet of its mother. It's like a baby trying to imitate the grand opera singing of an experienced soprano. They raise their tiny trunks and emit a squeaky sound that resembles a trumpet, played by someone who just learned to blow into one. And speaking of family, the elders in the herd, like the grandmothers and great aunts, play a vital role in passing down wisdom and traditions to the younger generation. They're like the wise old sages of the savannah, sharing their knowledge of where to find the juiciest leaves and the best watering holes. But, just like any good sitcom, the elephant-mother-calf relationship has its moments of tension. As the calves grow and gain more independence, they become a bit rebellious. They test boundaries, play tricks on their mums, and sometimes they throw a good old-fashioned elephant tantrum with their trumpets as well. Picture a baby elephant flopping down in the dirt and refusing to move. It's like the elephant version of a toddler's "I don't wanna." Look at these guys frolicking in the mud. Of course, elephant mothers have their own special brand of discipline. They employ a combination of stern looks, gentle nudges, and a touch of tough love to keep their rambunctious youngsters in line. When all else fails, there's always the threat of a timeout under the watchful eye of the matriarch. It's a lesson in obedience that the calves never forget. So some cultural facts about the largest mammal on our planet, land mammal. Elephants have had a significant impact on many cultures throughout history. In Hinduism, the elephant-headed deity Ganesha is worshipped as the god of new beginnings and the remover of obstacles. In Buddhism, the white elephant is considered a symbol of purity and compassion. And in African folklore, elephants are often portrayed as wise and powerful creatures, while in India, elephants are seen as symbols of good luck and prosperity. Elephants are keystone species, meaning they play an important role in maintaining the biodiversity of their habitats and literally ecosystem engineers. Okay, so always wonderful to spend time with the elephants here at Tau, especially when there's lots of them about and having lots of fun. But let's change of place and let's head to KwaZulu-Natal and the Tembe Elephant Park. Where we've got a different animal of sorts, but massive nonetheless. It's a southern giraffe. Looks like a bull. A couple of impala in the background. So this being the tallest land mammal. And the beautiful patterns on this giraffe as well. Also unique for every single giraffe. No two will be the same. So this giraffe just relaxing in the shade. You know, in these parts, they don't really have much change of temperature in the winter. It's a little bit cooler, so it still gets very hot, even in winter, being sort of not even subtropical. It's more tropical than anything else in Maputo land. So, a nice question coming in from African Sunset. I was saying, good afternoon, Ralph. Have you ever seen gynandromorphism in the wild? And for those that don't know, a gynandromorph is an organism that contains both male and female characteristics. The term actually comes from the Greek gyne, meaning female, and ana, meaning male, and morph or form. So it's used mainly in the field of entomology, in fact, and we get it in a lot of butterflies, for instance. So it's most frequently recognized in organisms that have strong sexual dimorphism, the meaning a big difference between the male and female, such as certain butterflies, spiders, and birds, but has been recognized in numerous other types of organisms as well. So we had a funny incident when I was on Kariga. I actually came across and I think this is an anomaly because I don't think it were I don't think we could actually term it as gynandromorph. But I found a female Inyala with horns. So it was quite an interesting one because then I spoke to the head ranger, or Wayne Howarth, and he said that they've actually come across, there was one that was killed by lions, and it was also a female with horns, and it also had testes. So really strange, and just wondering if it's some kind of genetic that had come through from KwaZulu Natal, because Nyala they don't naturally occur in the Eastern Cape, and they were introduced, and they do come. The genetic line does come from these parts here. Hlui, Amphalosi, and Maputaland, and this whole area where they naturally occur. So not quite sure what was going on there, but it was very interesting to chat about it as well. But that wouldn't be, I would say, not a naturally occurring gynandromorph, where you do see it mainly, I would say, in insects, butterflies in particular, and moths. So, yeah, you also see it in some crustaceans, lobsters, crabs. You get it in ticks and flies, locusts, crickets, dragonflies, ants, termites, bees, lizards, snakes, and rodents. So not so much in the mammals, I believe. So no elephants here for now, but we can, if we're lucky, we might see some of the big boys. And there's also some big tuskers that live here too, so you never can tell. We might see some of them. Okay, so lovely stop in here with this beautifully big male giraffe, and but he's not doing too much. The impala now moving off in the background. So I think let's change of place and head back to Tau. Where the elephants seem like they've just about finished their splash in the mud. Now they seem to be heading off. Maybe we're going to head off along one of their favorite routes over the dam wall. Let's see which way they go. So it looks like maybe slowly the last of them just making their way out of the area. There might still be some hanging about, particularly the males, the bulls, who do like to hang about. And Diane from the UK saying, hi, Ralph, rushed in from the rain to jump onto Wild Earth and was met by this beauty. I think that was with the giraffe. What a treat. Yes, indeed, it was. And now with this lovely group of elephants here as well, it's been an absolute treat, as you say. So devoid of elephants for now, but there may be some coming through in the future, I'm sure. Looks like there might be some moving through the thickets there in the background. I would not be surprised if there's another group coming on through. Oh yes, here comes some more. And a lovely shot of a zebra. Looks like he's looking in the direction where the elephants will be coming from. Just lazing about in the middle of the day, taking its respite, its rest period. Lots of the animals do so during the heat of the day. So Greg on Safari asking, is it normal for a zebra to be alone like that? Yeah, it's not anything unusual. It's normally a stallion. It's maybe a young stallion. He hasn't got himself a harem yet, or maybe he's had his girl stolen from him by another male. But you often see, sometimes you see one wildebeest in amongst a group of zebras, or one zebra in amongst a group of wildebeest. It's normally a male, though, that would be on his own. The female is obviously within a harem, sort of looked after by a male. But singular zebra, normally, I would say you could generalize and say that it's probably a male. Okay, so now that it's gone a little bit quiet here, I think let's change of place. Let's head to Zimbabwe this time and Vic Falls, where we've got our undertakers, the marabou storks, joined by a flat dog. Two, looks like. Looks like there's a second one just off to the left of this one moving. And then we've got white-backed vulture just next to the water. And what a sight. Yeah, there is indeed two crocodiles, two flat dogs. Or according to the Americans, swamp puppies. Although those are alligators. So maybe we'll call ours flat dogs. You guys can stick to swamp puppies. Well, some action. Crocodile's getting, I think it's getting chased by that other one. Not happy. And the yellow-billed stork looking concerned. little bit of a closer look at these scaly reptiles. See the ridges along the back. This helps for streamlining in the water, hydrodynamics, but also helps when they're doing their mating dances. If you haven't seen it before, it's well worth a check out on YouTube. If you search crocodile mating dance, you may get to see some of it. I've seen probably the most extravagant one in the Mara River, in the Masai Mara. Massive crocodiles, and they vibrate their backs and their tail, and it sprays the water up into the air in a sort of very elaborate dance for the females. So, and we've got a saddle-billed stork there with the grey heron, just off on the left. Grey heron doing a bit of preening. Saddle-billed, just relaxing. All right, so there was a little bit of excitement here with those crocodiles chasing each other. It seems it's all gone quiet now. Nice stop in though, so let's change of place and let's head back to the Greater Kruger Park this time and Djuma. Where there's more elephant action. And we've got some moving through here as well. Coming in for a drink at the waterhole. Little blacksmith lapwing just getting out the way. Probably a bit irritated that the elephants are here, but he doesn't have a choice. So Mindy Tillapore was asking, any thoughts on why birds' joints bend in the opposite direction of our knees? Now, there's a very good reason for that, Mindy, because the joint that you might consider to be their knee is actually their ankle joint. So the knee is higher up on the leg, and it does bend in the same direction as ours. And this ultimately means that birds actually walk with all of their weight on just their toes. And this goes a lot with a lot of other animals too. If you look at the likes of antelope, from impala to kudu, etc., they are also walking right on their toes. So the first bend in their leg is actually their wrist. Oh, hello, there's a water monitor lizard off on the left. That's what that elephant was sort of having a chase at. Just to the left of that blacksmith lapwing. And so where we think it's their knee, it's actually their ankle. And where we think it's the knee, it's actually the hip. So yes, it's it's all because they walk right on their toes. Now, with elephants, they walk on the hand or the foot. And so that first joint where you see it looks like it's the knee isn't the knee. That's actually the ankle or the wrist on the front feet. And then only further up is the knee itself. So that kind of foot structure, which we'd actually call digitigrade. Now, a lot of the sort of paperwork and write-ups that I've read, we were always taught that elephants walk on the whole foot. I know from experience and that they don't, because I've seen the internal structures of their foot. I was unfortunate to be able to, well, I had to go and take over from a trails group up in Makuleki. There was an elephant that had to be shot. It charged a group, and it was deemed to be, the last resort. They came and did a whole investigation, etc. But the group was traumatized, and so was the guide, as you can imagine. But that aside, by the time I got there, there'd been a lot of hyena activity, and they'd fed a lot on the elephant, but it's got very thick skin, so it does take them quite a bit of time to get through it. So they'd eaten quite a bit of the meat around the feet, and I was able to see the internal structure of the feet themselves and the skeleton. And it showed that they don't walk on the whole foot. The heel is raised. So it's not plantigrade. It is in fact walking on the fingers, which is digitigrade, which is much like the dogs and cats. Where plantigrade is all the primates, like us humans, we walk on our whole foot. So do monkeys and baboons. They walk on their hands and feet with the whole hand and foot on the ground. And then digitigrade is walking just on the fingers. That's the cats and the dogs. And then unguligrade, which is all the antelope and everybody else, they walk right on the tips of their toes. So you can actually do the three groups by putting your hand flat on the table. That's plantigrade. Raising your wrist off the table. That's digitigrade. And then moving it right onto the tips of your fingers. That's unguligrade. And that explains the foot structure of the different groupings of animals. I wonder what this water monitor is up to. He's up to something, as they always are. All right, I think this has been lovely once again with the elephants and this interesting little water monitor lizard. But I think let's change of place and let's head back to Tembe Elephant Park. Where our giraffe is no longer just relaxing in the shade, he's now moved off and starting to feed. So we'll watch him do that. He's a good-looking bull, this. Lovely coloration and markings. Starting to darken up. You can see those bald patches on the top of his ossicles or ossicones. And he's got quite a callous ridge on his nose. As you hear now, the rutting season is beginning, and the impala making that very croaky noise. You wouldn't think that that is impala if you didn't know. So now, if we look at this giraffe, they also walk on the tips of their toes. So their foot and their hand, it's all feet, but I use the hand for the front legs and their feet for their back legs. You can see that first joint that is actually up off the ground. That will be the ankle. And then the knee will be up almost where the tail is now hitting. And then further up will be the hip. So and then you watch it when it walks as well. But the whole foot is off the ground, and they're literally walking on the tips of their toes, pointing downwards. So when we also were training for athletics, for sprinting, for running, they used to teach us to run on our toes because you would be faster. So I think that's a lot to do with the evolution of the prey species, and almost for anti-predator to be able to run faster if they do in fact walk on the tips of their toes. So the giraffe just picking off some of its favorite food. It looks like it's one of the acacias or Vachilias there. Tiny little leaflets that it will be getting at and using its long, normally dark tongue, bluish color, sometimes black. Lots of melanin in it to help protect against the sun. But it's also very thick-skinned around the mouth there as well. There's lots of thorns. It doesn't seem to bother them at all. And that big callus on the forehead and running down the nose, that's also part of the club that they use to hit each other with, as well as the ossicles. And some of the best eyelashes in the business, I'd have to say. Giraffe, ostriches, and secretary birds. And who would have guessed it? Elephants. Those are my 4 best eyelashes of the bush. Sounds like a southern boo-boo calling now. So Mindy Tillapore asking another nice question. Are there other animals besides giraffe that walk with a gait where they move one side of the legs and then the other? The one that immediately comes to mind is hyenas, spotted hyenas. But I'm going to find out if there's any more, Mindy. That's the one that's obvious for me. And I very often compare the two in the way that they walk. So I'm not quite sure if there are many others, but I'm sure there would be. So let me have a dig, and I'll let you know. So, just a quick little bit of information that I found is saying that in contrast to most ungulates, the giraffe walks by swinging its long legs forward, first both legs on the one side of the body and then both legs on the opposite side. And this type of walk is called an amble. And the giraffe has it in common with okapis, camels, and llamas. That's just in amongst the ungulates, but I do know that hyenas do the same. It's spotted hyena, maybe not brown hyenas. I don't really see them doing that, but it's spotted hyenas in particular. Righty, folks, so we're slowly heading towards the end of the show, and it does seem, in fact, like cats are the others that, in general, that walk like camels and giraffe, and then they're the only other ones, apart from hyenas. So, very interesting indeed. I hope you've all enjoyed the show. Don't forget that later on there will be the Sunset Safari, so don't go anywhere. But that's it from me for now. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Give it horns. Cheers, everybody.
Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us once again for our highlight show, coming here from Djuma Private Game Reserve, well, from the northern Asabi Sands. My name is Cedric, and behind the camera with me we've got Muscles and Paw. I do apologize, there is a bit of a